And welcome into the Thursday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We got a lot going on the program today. Andrew Brunette, Predators head coach, will join us at 7:30. They're back in action tonight, taking on the St. Louis Blues. Charles Robinson, for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock, we will get into the Titans, Phillip Rivers, and I'm sure a whole lot more with Charles Robinson coming up at 8 o'clock. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Doing all right. Interesting night on the college football front last night. I guess that's
very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Ian, how are we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing good, thanks. A little chilly out there, a little windy, but overall not too bad, thanks.
I do want to point this out real quickly, and I'm not doing this solely because I'm in first place, but it is part of it. We have had people ask, an update. The fantasy football playoffs are starting. So how's the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League going?
We should get an update on that.
Well, I'll tell you how it's going. Yours truly and Ian Safar, the two buys in this tournament.
Hey, correct use of buy.
I'm the number 1 seed. I believe I was 13-1. I think that was the record.
I think that's correct.
13-1.
Yeah.
Who'd you lose to?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. It was like
you beat me by like a point.
I came close too. Yeah, you beat me barely too.
So don't get cocky here.
I'm not cocky. I'm just pointing out the numbers, the facts. 13-1, number 1 seed. Ian Safar, what'd you end up? 11-3.
I think that's correct.
11-3, number 2 seed. So Robby Stanley, Ian Safar, the 1 and 2 seeds. Joe Rexrode is in the playoffs, taking on Officer Watson in round 1.
Okay.
You know who's not in the playoffs? Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com.
That's really
11th.
bad.
He's in 11th place. So
How about Brennan?
Brennan, not in the playoffs. 10th
Also,
place.
Brennan did beat Kuharski. I'll let him know today. He'll be very excited.
Kyle and
Shelbyville, our champion last year, did not have the magic this year. Last place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Last place. Sorry, Kyle. Jeez.
Yeah,
tough break, buddy.
Tough break on that. So people have been asking. So there you go.
There you
Here's
go.
your update. We'll keep you updated on what happens in the playoffs there.
Yeah, I better get my lineup. Now that you mention it, better get my lineup set.
If Joe beats Officer Watson, it'll be Robby versus Joe next round. And I play the winner of Jared and Titan Sup.
Yeah, and that would guarantee if it is Joe, that one of us will be in the final. We'll see how it goes.
Wow.
We
could
see how
have
it goes.
an all-show championship.
We could. Joe, you mentioned a very interesting night. I thought on the college football front, the thing that we would probably talk the most about today would be that the Tennessee Volunteers have found a defensive coordinator. And we are going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. But we have to start on the Michigan front. And, I saw yesterday, the only thing I saw initially, Joe, was that Michigan had fired Sherrone Moore. And I was like, really? Like on December the 10th? Shouldn't you have done that maybe a couple weeks ago if you're going to do that? And then as time went on, some more details started to come out. And there's, an alleged inappropriate relationship that he's involved with. Anyway, so he gets fired. And I was like, well, that sucks. That's horrible timing on Michigan's front and obviously not what you're looking for there. And then as the night went on, and if you followed Pete Thamel, among others, and their timeline, just more and more layers added to this story. It's a crazy situation up in Ann Arbor right now, Joe. What do you make of everything going on with the Michigan football program and with now former head coach Sherrone Moore?
Yeah. First of all, you don't see too many press releases from schools that are like, we're firing this person, and here's why.
Yeah.
An inappropriate relationship with a staff member. I mean, and of course, this is firing him for cause. So it's getting out of paying him the money. It's very easy to be cynical about this and say, so this internal investigation for the 17-8 coach who's kind of been meh. What if he was a 22-3 coach? Would we be talking about that? I don't know. Now there's also from Michigan, they say there was an anonymous tip, but look, this stuff's been out there for weeks. Okay. And there's a lot of stuff that gets out there on the internet that isn't true, but I mean, there's a lot about this for a while now, about this being a situation So, the idea that, and of course now you have signing day has happened. I mean, from
Right.
the Michigan side, it looks very shady. On the Moore side, of course, when it first happens, all the jokes are out there, and it's like, oh my gosh, and it's you can look at the whole thing with like the Harbaugh era is probably the most scandal-ridden like coaching era in college football history. I mean, when you consider this, when you consider Harbaugh with two different you got a 4-year and a 10-year for two different scandals, Connor Steiens, and then the recruiting during COVID, and then Matt Weiss, his former offensive coordinator, 24 federal charges for like hacking, co-eds phones. I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable. But also then this turns really just rough, and there's going to be a lot more that comes out today. But Moore is detained, but like there's some details out there that are really disturbing about things that went down yesterday, and so it turns into like that sort of overshadows everything else. Just the awfulness of the situation in general. I mean, this happens, and obviously, I mean, he's 39 years old. He's married. He's got 3 daughters. And it's like, getting fired is a terrible thing and all that. And it's making it tough. But, like, you still, like, the stuff that is out there, some of it reported, some of it not yet. It's like, there's still so much there for you. And now I don't know where it's going to go for him. So it's really kind of, and of course, then you have this woman who worked there. I mean, it's a bad situation.
Very bad situation. And, it quickly went from a, well, what are you doing, you idiot type situation to, I just hope everybody's all right at the end of that. So, as you said, there'll be more stuff that comes out on that today, I'm sure. But, from a Michigan football standpoint, you nailed it. I mean, it's been just scandal after scandal over the last few years under Harbaugh. And, Moore gets the job because when he stepped in for Harbaugh, when all that was going on, he actually did pretty well. So that's why he ended up getting the job to begin with. And then it just, it hasn't gone great for them since then. After they won the national championship, they've been okay. But, they get the big recruit, Bryce Underwood, last year. Signing day comes. Look, they beat out Tennessee for a 5-star running back.
Yeah.
And now that kid reportedly last night, it's like, huh? Like, what's going on around here?
Yeah.
So, like, there's stuff to keep an eye on from a recruiting standpoint now. And do they immediately hit the portal? Like, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens on all that front.
Right. And that is the thing. I mean, when something like this happens, you can, the portal will open up. So, but it's still like, the fact that, like, if this is done before signing day, I mean, it's probably a lot of things change. It's a lot easier to deal with if you're, because now you're getting into, like early enrollees and all this stuff. So that's a mess. I mean, they just hired Kerry Coombs up there.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan on the text line said, of course, Joe says Michigan's being shady. They have every right to fire him. I didn't say they don't have a right to fire him, Jonathan. What I'm saying is that these things have been out there, and not just like random internet accounts either. I mean, it's been out there. The timing is suspicious. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that they didn't have a right to fire him. Obviously, it looks like this situation is real. I mean, so that's on him. I mean, I'm not saying otherwise, but I mean, you have to look at the timing of this and ask yourself some questions about who knew what when, and those questions will be asked. But as far as, moving forward, you have the portal, and of course you have their scramble here to hire a coach. There's a lot of talk about Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, there is.
Which, I mean, talk about, we've already had the whole Lane Kiffin thing with Ole Miss and LSU. Would Kalen DeBoer, it's a really interesting situation. Would Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama for Michigan? I don't know. I mean, if he got Alabama to the playoff, he knows obviously how tough it is to follow Nick Saban and all that stuff. He has seen the venom of struggling at times, including after the Florida State loss this year. But I mean, it's not like you're going to a non-pressure place if you go to Michigan. I don't know. I guess I'd be kind of surprised if they're able to pry him away with this playoff. But But we'll see. And then there's some people. I heard some people today. Chris Candy talking about Brian Kelly. I mean, it makes sense geographically. I just don't know that Brian Kelly is all that attractive of a candidate right now. They could go get Jed Fish, but then that's still the Harbaugh family, and I think they need to
divorce themselves of that.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about Jesse Minter, who is Harbaugh's D coordinator, was a D coordinator here at Vanderbilt, was D coordinator at Michigan. Well, he has a show cause, so. Just like most of those guys, he has a show cause, so that's probably not an option.
Yeah, the DeBoer thing is interesting. I mean, on the surface, I think he'd be an idiot to leave Alabama and go to Michigan right now. Having said that, you look at it, and it's probably easier to get in the college football playoff at Michigan just based on the Big Ten's not as deep as the SEC. You do have to play Ohio State every year, and now Indiana's apparently a superpower, so you got Oregon in the mix as well. So you can view it any way I guess you wanted to at that point. But I think we would agree that the SEC is at least deeper than the Big Ten, even if the Big Ten has been more top-heavy the last few years.
Yeah, it's deeper. Now, I will say that, like you just said, you play Ohio State every year. I mean, I guess if I knew that I had to play Ohio State every year or play Auburn every year, I'd probably, I'd pick the Auburn. And it's just like with these leagues again, it's just like in a random year, you may end up with a real sweet deal with either league schedule or an awful deal. I don't know. Is there enough of the pluses that are pluses for Michigan over Alabama? Are they enough to just uproot everything right now when you have a playoff team and it seems like you've gotten things going pretty well? I don't know. Maybe.
Can you imagine in one season if Lane Kiffin up and leaves the playoff team and Ole Miss goes to LSU, and then like a week before the playoff starts, Alabama's head coach just dips and goes to Michigan? That would be pretty wild.
That would be wild.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know Greg Sankey, was asked about this stuff last week, and he did like the "I told you so" stuff because he's never wrong.
Yep.
But that can't be good. That can't be good if you're in the SEC and you're seeing these coaches with playoff teams just bailing and disrupting. And again, the calendar is the calendar, but yeah, that would be. It's just been a crazy year, and this is. Now, so Western Hurdy says, I'm confused why he's in jail. Well, there was an incident. And some of this has been reported. I'm honestly not even sure right now, but there was an incident that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
That is why he's in jail. After he was fired. Yes.
615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. We're off and running here on Robby and Rexrode. We will continue the conversation on some college football. Josh Heupel has found him a defensive coordinator. What do we make of that move? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tennessee has found their defensive coordinator. They fired Tim Banks earlier this week, and now Jim Knowles has been hired as the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. Most recently, the defensive coordinator at Penn State. Obviously, that coaching staff just came to an end, so he was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State from 2019 to 2021, DC at Ohio State from 2022 to 2024, and most recently at Penn State. Joe, what do you make of Jim Knowles as the new defensive coordinator for Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers?
Yeah, he's been on the move lately, this Jim Knowles. You mentioned to me the Cornell. I didn't even realize
he's head coach at Cornell from 04 to 09.
Yeah. And played defensive end at Cornell. So check out the big brain on Jim.
That's right.
Although we know Kaharski, he went to Ivy League. He's kind of a dumbass. So who knows? Who knows? But
and not a very good fantasy football league player.
Yeah. We need to give him more crap about that next week. Let's remember to give him crap.
You can do that.
Look, it's interesting because Jim Knowles, he goes to Ohio State and does really well, and then James Franklin steals him away and pays him a ton, rips him away after 3 years at Ohio State to come with him at Penn State. Now, before Ohio State, he was with the Mullet out there at Oklahoma State as his defensive coordinator, which, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing that the numbers at Oklahoma State in the Big 12 in that era probably weren't amazing.
Probably not.
But if you can get any stops, especially in that era in the Big 12, you did all right. So he goes to Penn State, and of course we know what happened this year. Penn State was disappointing. I wouldn't really put most of it on the D. Most of it would be on the offense. That Oregon game was their defense kept them in it. The offense finally made a couple plays, but was just so hard to watch. But then Nico tore him up. That's the crazy thing about this whole thing is really that whole thing fell apart when Nico destroyed that defense.
Yeah.
So look, is it a big hire for Tennessee? It is. I mean, he's been at DC at a high level. It's obviously it's a big investment. Clearly he knows what he's doing. I don't know if it's because again, now I'm looking at Ohio State and Matt Patricia, who in some ways might be one of the most disastrous football coaches we've seen, he's a genius now because he's coordinating the Ohio State defense. It's amazing how having the best players at just about every spot and be able to win every one-on-one matchup makes you such a smarter coach. But I'm not trying to throw all kinds of cold water on this. I mean, it's a good hire for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see how it goes. The pedigree's good, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, the first thing, Jared in the YouTube chat, we got a couple texts about it. Oh, yeah, Nico lit him up. It'll be great out there. Looking forward to this for Josh Heupel. But, we'll see, as you mentioned. Yeah, he looked pretty good when he's the defensive coordinator at Ohio State when you have all these pros just running around out there. Can he get this Tennessee team to be a little bit more stout against the run? Are they a better defensive team? Significantly better defensive team than they were this year. We'll see. There's some names out there that people were looking at. I guess the Washington kid, or what was his name? I can't remember.
Was it Walters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So kid, as if.
Yeah. Well, you might be older than him.
Maybe.
I probably am.
And I saw some Washington accounts having some fun with that yesterday at Tennessee fans' expense. Yeah, Knowles is 60. He's been around for a while, as I mentioned. Most recently Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Penn State, but he's been coaching in college football since 1988. That's when he started as a defensive line coach at Cornell. So long time he's been in college football.
Yeah, no, he's been around, man. He was there at Western Michigan, was his first DC job back almost 25 years ago. Spent a long time then, so that would have been with interesting Tennessee connections at Duke. That would have been under
Cutcliffe,
the legendary David Cutcliffe. Yeah, so he's had some, really very different experiences in terms of basically all the big conferences. I mean, this is his first dip in. Well, it's not his first dip in the SEC. He was actually at Ole Miss in 2003. So he's been around, and he's got that gruff D coordinator kind of look, he's got that beard and that white beard, and he got there with the hat on, and, look, the guy is, it's a good hire. I mean, it's Heupel going big, right? I mean, Heupel trying to okay, well, if you're going to fire Tim Banks, which like we talked about, look, it was bad this year. It was great last year, but it was bad this year. But then, I think there probably is a little bit of okay, then don't just go get some guy.
Yeah.
Get someone who's done it at a very high level.
Well, one of the criticisms of Heupel from Tennessee fans has been, and this is not just a Josh Heupel thing. I think we heard this when Vrabel was here. Well, he's too loyal, right? He's too loyal to his guys. And now he's made a move and he's gone and fired Tim Banks, and who I think, as Heupel put it in his statement, I think he really likes Tim Banks. I don't think he necessarily wanted to fire Tim Banks, but he did it, and now he's gone and made a big move at defensive coordinator. So I do wonder, from a Tennessee fan perspective, if you were of the mind that you just, I guess, either one, didn't expect him to make a move, or number two, were critical in the past of maybe him being a little bit too loyal. Does this change your outlook on Heupel in terms of his willingness to go make these moves?
Yeah, and that's the thing is look, there's something to be said for having connections with people, past stops with people. There's a trust level. Yeah, we always talk about it in terms of, it's your buddy, but it's like you've seen that person work on a daily basis. You know how that person thinks. Yeah, buddy, but a lot of people work together. If you hire someone who you worked with, usually it's because you think they're good. There's some real value in that. At the same time, these coaches all talk to each other too. You can see who's out there doing good work, and I think the willingness to go out there and just go get someone is good. I think that is promising, because sometimes it's just good to have fresh eyes, different ideas, all that stuff in your building. And obviously, this required a lot of investment, and so we know that Heupel had that backing, which is good too for Tennessee.
Well, and I saw Jason Swain point this out on X yesterday. People were talking about, and I don't think the hire had even been made yet. It's like, well, wow, is Josh Heupel going to quit hiring some of his friends? And Jason Swain was like, well, in 2006, Fulmer hired his friend. It was David Cutcliffe. That worked out pretty well. And then in 2008, he hired Dave Clawson, who was not his friend. That was a total disaster. I mean, you can find examples either way. But sometimes, knowing people and knowing like how they work behind the scenes is not a bad thing.
Right. And David Clawson, by the way, I mean, he actually is a good football coach, but it just was terrible at Tennessee, that year. So who was the quarterback then? Was that
08? That would have been maybe
Crompton. Was that Crompton then? I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's good to have a mix. It's good to have your guys and all that stuff. But, I think the Tennessee offense this year, huge year for it. But before that, I was questioning. We've been talking about the OC. It's like, it's like a guy, who's in his QB room at Oklahoma and all that stuff. But can you be better than that? Because he went out and got Golish, right? I mean, he did that when he was at UCF, but he's like, I'm going to go get this dude. I think Golish was at Iowa State then as a tight ends coach. And all of a sudden, let's bring some power to concepts to this offense I'm doing. That's smart, but you want to have a mix of it. So, and sometimes you go out and poach someone big and it's not a fit. So, that is something to watch this year. If they're not immediately the 85 Bears, you have to, you got to have a little bit of patience, but there still should be enough talent on hand. And of course, they're about to hit the portal to have a good defense next year. I guess we have heard that Jermod McCoy is that reported?
I saw that floating around last night. I don't know where. I mean, look, that would be a 0% surprise if he's declaring for the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's like if you're still perceived as a first-round pick, you probably can only hurt yourself next year, right? By playing college football.
I would totally agree. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Brian to the program. Brian, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, boys. I tell you what, it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine this morning. And the irony, fellas, I had to be honest. I cleansed myself of X, not the drug, but the app the other day, just because I needed to break away. And of course, I get a text from one of my friends that they just fired Sherrone, and which is not unnecessarily unexpected because there was rumblings that he could potentially lose his job, not just for the coaching aspect, but then to find out all the other allegations and things that come from it, man. I tell you, it's just, why can't we have nice things at the same time? Michigan basketball team is doing great right now, blowing everybody out, and of course this comes up, and you think about the families and stuff that are affected by the decisions that grown people make, and that's who you really feel bad for. But you would think Sherrone would learn. I know Joe probably don't feel too bad about everything that's happened since what happened at MSU, but you would think he would look and see across the way what happened over in East Lansing and make better decisions. But this is not a pity party for Michigan fans, because I know we bring some of those things on ourselves. But you really sometimes as a fan, man, you don't know what these people are actually doing behind closed doors, and when things like this come out, you kind of just wish things could be nice. But that's all I got, fellas, man. Thank y'all for getting me in this morning. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I feel just as bad for anybody at Michigan as at Michigan State or whatever. But no, I mean, it's a bad situation. So I'm glad you mentioned the families and all that stuff in this thing. Yeah, people make bad decisions and can mess up great situations. I mean, I don't think Michigan was going to. I mean, 17-8. I don't think they were going to fire him. They weren't going to fire him. They were going to fire him and pay him. They're firing him for cause because of this. And they get out of the money. They weren't going to fire him just for foot. I mean, it hasn't been great, but I mean, they do have Bryce Underwood as a freshman this year coming. Now, that's another question we haven't talked about.
That's a good point.
I mean, is Lane Kiffin, on the horn saying, "Hey, Bryce, remember when you were coming to LSU? What's it going to take?"
Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Your reaction to Tennessee hiring a defensive coordinator, plus a program we've talked a lot about this week, continuing to dive into the mud. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. It is bowl season. The Game Nashville Sports Network, your home for college football bowl games and the college football playoff, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Saturday, catch the Celebration Bowl on 102.5 The Game as SC State takes on Prairie View at 11 a.m. Big one coming up. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/bowl games. I could tell by Ian's face in there that
I will be glued.
Very much looking forward to SC State and Prairie View at 11 a.m.
Let's go. Are we going
Let's
to do a
go.
bowl challenge?
Why not?
Bowl
How much Prairie View tape have you watched this year, Joe?
I have not watched a ton of Prairie View, I must say.
All right. Well, we're going to find out together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few, bowl season. There's some teams you didn't know existed sometimes, but that's kind of fun too, right?
It is.
And companies you never knew existed.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, some interesting. I went through the bowls actually the other day. We get some interesting sponsorships out there for sure. Yeah. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl is definitely the best one.
That's pretty awesome.
Just sponsored by Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta love that.
That's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Joe, a program that we've talked a lot about so far this week has been Notre Dame in the aftermath of their omission from the college football playoff. Their athletic director has been out there yelling at the ACC and all these different things, and they're mad, and they're taking their ball, they're going home, they're not playing in the bowl game. Well, and apparently for at least a brief time yesterday, Joe, there was an event scheduled for a bookstore on the Notre Dame campus Friday with college football playoff committee member Ivan Maisel about a book that he has done called American Coach. Now, it's about a former Notre Dame coach that he'd done this book on, and this event had been scheduled for a while. And now in the aftermath of the college football playoff committee leaving Notre Dame out, at least for a time, yesterday, Notre Dame allegedly canceled that Friday event. I think it has since been rectified because of the public backlash that they received. But, Joe, boy, is Notre Dame deep into the sauce this week when it comes to the pettiness.
Yeah. Now, look, I think that it's just the bookstore did it, So, like, I don't think this was
it's all one institution, baby.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's true. But yeah, so I don't know if like the bookstore was being petty, and then Notre Dame called on his behalf. There was a firestorm about this online, of course. All these people. Ivan Maisel. I mean, again, he's wrote this book on Frank Leahy. He took himself out of the room because of that.
Yeah.
Because he's written other like big stuff about Notre Dame before. Ivan, a great writer for a long time, works for ESPN.com for a long time, but he actually took himself out of the room when they voted for Notre Dame or voted for or against. He's like, I'm recusing myself because, okay, well, that makes sense. And yet, just because he's on the committee, no, get out of here with your stupid book.
You're not coming
about
here.
Notre Dame football.
There will be no event.
Yeah. I mean, the entire, so they fixed it. So, whoever fixed it, I mean, maybe it's like the bookstore was going to do it and then the AD call, who knows, man. But this week has been really, really amazing on the Notre Dame. Just the pettiness, take my ball home, all that stuff. It's been really quite a display. And I understand being mad about missing the playoff. I do. The way they kind of, you could feel like you got done dirty just by the weekly. No, they're ahead of Miami.
Sure.
No. And all of a sudden you flip it at the last minute. So I get it. But also like the anger at the ACC too. Again, we've talked about it some, but it's like what do you expect? Like Miami is an ACC football team. Notre Dame is not.
Yeah.
I don't get why you don't understand that.
No, I mean, look, like you said, I understand the frustration from Notre Dame. It's getting harder and harder to really have a whole lot of sympathy for them as they walk around here and do what they've done so far this week. But hey, I'm glad that the book signing is back underway. I hope it's a well-attended event coming up on Friday at the Notre Dame bookstore. I'm sure it will be.
Yes, I'm sure.
All the Notre Dame students, get on out there and go buy this book.
And by the way, speaking of Notre Dame, I mean, there's a name that there's a name that someone threw out there. Can
Marcus Freeman?
Can Michigan get Marcus Freeman? I doubt it, but shoot big. We do have a lot of response on the Michigan stuff. look, yeah, Les Miles. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Jared from Spring Hill says, Michigan's fans got a national title by cheating. I'd say that's a nice thing to have that hasn't been taken away. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, all this stuff is like if you just flipped it around, like college football is totally like this. I mean, it's like if this was, right now, like Michigan State and Ohio State fans are screaming out all the things, Michigan being dirty, all that stuff. If your team won the national title in 2023 and all this stuff happened, you probably still wouldn't get rid of your sweatshirt, right? Like you
Probably not.
I mean, they didn't have to vacate the national title. The national title did happen, right?
It did.
So if you're a college football fan, would you take all the stuff that's gone on here, like essentially, again, like this era will be studied among, like, just for all of the things that have gone on. Like, it's incredible. And again, a lot of them not related. Matt Weiss, to me, just apparently was just a total creep on his own. I mean, so, like, they're not necessarily related. I can't, like, say Harbaugh's responsible for all the things, but when you add it all together, it's incredible. So would you take that, but also take a national championship? How many fan bases would say no?
Probably not many.
Not many.
Yeah.
So again, all of college football is going to point at Michigan and say it's all tainted. It's discussing the Michigan man thing, whatever. But and Michigan fans would do the same thing to somebody else, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's just
That's
what
how it
it
works.
is. So, but I do think that, like, if you're Michigan, you need to go ahead and like don't have any more like, hey, let's have Jim Harbaugh back to be honorary captain. Like, just go ahead and, you know what? Thanks for the wins and time to move on.
We will acknowledge them 30 years from now. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. It's time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. I believe in miracles. Yes!
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go. It is time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, go ahead and kick us off with the best and worst things in the world of sports.
So, best, I'm going to go with, we're waiting on Diego Pavia to possibly win the Heisman. He's going to be in New York. It's a big deal. It's good for him. Eli, I almost called him Jared Stowers. Jared on the brain. Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt tight end, just won the William V. Campbell Trophy. That's called the academic Heisman.
Yep.
That is a big, big deal. First of all, it's the academic Heisman, but obviously it's a combination of like quality of player and your academic achievements. I mean, he's a ridiculously good student at Vanderbilt who also is going to play in the NFL. And to win the William V. Campbell Trophy is a huge, huge deal. So congratulations to Stowers for doing that. That's a big deal. My worst in sports, I have to get to some sniping back and forth on this, but just, this whole thing with Michigan, I know that it's fresh. And again, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out today. I think this is a developing story, but just, the fact that this gets into people get fired and whatever, we can talk about all the, whatever, the investigation and the coaching hire and the portal, that stuff. But, the fact that this turned into a legal situation and that he was detained last night, it's a terrible thing. Feel terrible for all the people who got hurt in this, and that's just an easy worst in sports.
Ian Safar, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
I did actually have to piggyback off of Joe's Vandy there, Clark Lee, and just the way he's handled this whole
SEC Coach of the Year, by the way.
Yep.
Okay.
Possible National Coach of the Year stuff coming.
Great. I did not know that part, but just the way the team and he and everybody have handled it, just complete 180 from Notre Dame.
Yep.
So credit to them. I love Clark Lee. I mean, I think he's just a
good guy, good coach.
Good guy, good coach. Seems like a nice guy, even though I've never met him. But and then worst, I'll give it to the Daniel Jones injury.
Yeah.
The whole situation. You just feel bad for him. I'm not a Colts fan, obviously, but playing on the broken leg, then you lead to the Achilles.
Not good.
It's just the offseason rehab for him just sounds terrible. So I'll make poor Daniel Jones. I'll make that as my worst.
I got a lot of things I could do with the best here. I mean, the Preds and Titans are both winning right now. We hadn't been able to say that very often. Titans just won a game. Preds have won like 5 out of 7. A lot of winning going on around here.
Wow.
With the local professional sports teams. I mean, my best has to be Phillip Rivers back in the NFL, right? Like he's back in the NFL.
Oh, that was on my list. I didn't want to steal it from you.
Well, he got up there and he had his, his all shucks press conference yesterday and a lot of shoots and dadgummits and all that thrown out there. I can't wait. Can't wait to watch him play. But I think he's going to play on Sunday. Like he was talking about it yesterday. He's like, I'm prepared to play on Sunday against Seattle. My worst thing in sports, Joe, is he plays against Seattle coming up on Sunday. And I am in almost legitimate fear for his life in this game.
Is he playing for sure?
I mean, not for sure. He's probably going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's taking reps at practice, and he was the first one through the drills yesterday. So I think he's going to play.
It is kind of it's almost, I also still think that's sort of a best because I can't wait to watch it. But you're right. It's like, of all things, can't you?
It's on the same time, right? That's the Titans game.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to double screen this thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a double screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Even his presser, like Greg Doyle asked him how much he weighed, and I will say, I mean, he looks like he's put a couple pounds on. You know,
He does.
In the NFL.
He's got it. It looks like he's got like my dad face.
Yeah, a little bit, but
It's like, I just tell you, I don't weigh as much as it's not the same as it was when I walked off the field in Denver last time out. But I ain't running away from anybody anyway, so who cares?
You gotta love it. Yeah, someone said that one of the best here is a lot more fricks and dadgummits.
Oh yeah,
coming out here. I like this one. Best Vandy reaction, worst Notre Dame reaction. That is that is a good point. Again, Jonathan's so mad about like the Michigan thing. Look, man, the worst is my take that Michigan somehow shady. I'm just telling you, people are gonna wonder who knew what when.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like I understand this isn't like an advantage for Michigan, although there are some. The message board geniuses had like some Michigan's back, baby. Like there's some fans that are celebrating this because they don't think he's a good coach. But yeah, who knew what when? It's a question that's going to be fair to ask in the AD Ward manual. I would think that people would start looking at him a little bit at Michigan too. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on his watch that isn't great. Ed, best thing in sports, BK's Plain Gate Twitter feud and playing mall cop with Titans media. Yeah, we didn't get into that. Yes, I actually meant to ask PK about it. I just forgot. Then someone on Twitter was like, you must have been told from above not to talk about it. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know, sideline reporter shared a story on another show about like something that was said on the plane that was kind of like, I think, a joking thing about like Cam, calm down, don't be mad. Well, that reporter is now off the plane, and I feel like PK may be getting a little bit too much enjoyment out of it. I don't know.
I mean, that would be unlike PK. He doesn't do those things.
Yeah, that's true. PK doesn't ever rip other media and then take pleasure in bad things that happen to them. But I mean, obviously, that's one of those things that's like clear no. I guess I do wonder about the logistics now. So is it taking some commercial flights? They played San Fran this week.
It's a long drive.
Yeah, that's true. You might have wanted to get started already if that was the case.
I don't think that's a trip you want to take in the car.
And also has a worse, which is the overreaction to Cam's comments and the weak head coach feeling the need to speak with him about it.
Well, I mean, the TD had a back and forth with Mike McCoy about that in the press conference the other day. I mean, look, I think people are kind of blowing the Cam Ward stuff out of context a little bit after the game. Cam Ward didn't play well in that game, and I think if you're looking at the totality of the Tennessee Titans, if Cam Ward completes 50% of his passes and is inaccurate at times as he was on Sunday, Titans probably aren't going to win very many games moving forward. So I kind of think it's nice that the quarterback recognizes that it's great to win a game, and it's awesome. And I know that people around that organization have been just downtrodden and beat up all the time because they can't win.
Yeah.
So enjoy the win. But I think you also got to have a little bit of dose of reality if you're the quarterback and be like, yeah, I'm going to have to play a little bit better than I did in order for us to win on any sort of consistent basis moving forward in my career.
Yeah. And also, look, I mean, everybody's a human being here. And so if you're him and everybody's always done the Shedeur Cam thing and Shedeur just threw for 365 or whatever, and you didn't have a good productive day, even with all the context involved, I mean, I don't have any problem with, like, I could see that being disappointing to you. That's fine. But mostly I think you're right. It's just like, I need to play better. So I don't know why. Like, people, like, do you really expect him or really anyone? It's good to win. It's better to win. But, like, to do cartwheels because you just got to 2-11?
Yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean, let's be real. I like this. The best is Coach O with Busting with the Boys. I must say, I might have to actually
watch the whole thing.
Like,
I've seen several clips.
The whole interview. Like, that looked pretty amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
He's like, oh, yeah, we got 24 beers. I'll drink 22.
I told Joe Burrow that I didn't get him to come to LSU. I was going to lose my job. I never watched him play, but I was told he was good. So I just went all in.
And in case anybody wondered, it's a great reminder for everybody always, if you want to complain still about, players getting paid and whatever, all the, he basically said, we used to go in the back door. Now we go in the front door.
Here's the money.
I mean, the NIL existed before. Trust me.
Jason Whitebluff, one of his best was actually one of his worst, was actually in contention to be my best. He's talking about the Thunder dominating the league, having 3 first-round picks coming up as well. They're 24-1. We've talked about some of the records in sports. I didn't know that anybody would ever break the 72-10 record of the Bulls, and then the Warriors did. They got to 73-9 and didn't win the championship that year, as you're well aware.
Yep.
As we've talked about.
Yep.
Oklahoma City's 24-1 in the NBA, and they're just crushing everyone. Their average margin of victory is 17.4 points per game. They are destroying everyone. They might go like, I don't know, 76-6. Like, it's going to be amazing, the record they end up with.
That would be your best?
Yeah, I mean, it's in contention.
Yeah, see, I'd make it a worse too. And again, it could work for either, but
I don't think it's be all over it.
No, I know, but it's not good for the NBA. Even the Warriors, when they were winning those championships, it wasn't like guaranteed that they were going to win it. Like, again, that year they didn't win it. So hopefully that happens this year in the playoffs. OKC, but I'm just bored by the thought of them just dominating for like the next few years. I need someone to rise up.
24-1.
Maybe Cade Cunningham and the Pistons. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Joey from Bellevue, both Vandy basketball teams ranked undefeated.
Yes.
Both very good. That's a good one for a best.
Absolutely. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We got a lot into the Titans head coaching search yesterday, and now some more conversation around the league on some potential candidates that could be out there for the Tennessee Titans. We will get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30. Preds back in action tonight at home, taking on the St. Louis Blues. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up at 8 o'clock on the program for his weekly visit. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Welcome in our buddy Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, Robert. Good morning, Uncle Joe. How you doing, man?
Good, Mark. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. Sorry about your situation up there in Michigan, Joe. That's kind of terrible right there. Maybe Brian Kelly can come up there and resurrect him and get him back to prominence again. I mean, I don't know anybody jailed fish at Washington. I don't know who they can go get, but I hate that situation, man. But hey, I know y'all getting ready to talk about the Titans coaching search. Robby, I'm of the mindset I don't want to see the Titans, and I'm not a Titans, fan. As you know, I'm a Raiders, but I would love to see them go get, instead of a recycled coach like a Arthur Smith or Mike McCarthy, let that go. I know that everybody's talking about Robert Saleh, but I mean, think about it, Robby. Did he really do as good a job as he should have done with the Jets? I mean, that team was kind of loaded with some talent, with Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Priest Hall, the Williams brothers. I mean, he had a great roster up there, but not a great winning record. I mean, if you did hire him, he's like a Vrabel. With Mike McDaniel gets fired now, I'd love to see the mad scientist come down here. I think he could do wonders with Cam Ward as an OC. But I keep saying and throwing out the name Clint Kubiak or something like that. I just like to see the Titans go a different direction, because at least Kubiak is a true play caller. He's been a quarterback coach. He's got a good resume. He's worked under some great coaches, but I would just like to see the Titans go a different direction, man, and for the success of Cam Ward. But hey, y'all have a good day. Hey, Joe, think about me Christmas, Joe. I need a new thick winter coat. I'm 2X, Joe. So next time you're in the store, and I don't want Walmart, Joe, I want a Carhartt. You think about me, man.
Nice.
You send it to me. Tell me Merry Christmas, Joe.
Okay. I mean, I haven't gone shopping for you yet, but thanks for the tip. I mean, now I kind of know what I'm going to do.
You know what you're looking for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And Robby,
It's in
next
the
time
mail.
you and Dick's, and Robby, next time you and Dick's Sporting Goods,
No
give
free
me a
ads.
Raiders hat.
All right.
Yeah, give me a Raiders hat. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, man.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, Mark.
Appreciate it.
All right, see you.
Well, it's interesting he brings that up because the Clint Kubiak thing, we talked a little bit about PK yesterday, but there's a piece on ESPN.com where Fowler and Graziano kind of do their back and forth conversation, and they hit on a bunch of topics around the league. And one of the things they brought up was potential head coaching candidates and maybe some coordinators out there that could really be attractive this cycle. And I'll just read a little bit from one paragraph of something they say here, which I wonder stylistically, I think it adds up to what kind of we've heard from the Titans reading between the lines here and how much of a factor this is going to be around the league. Here's what they said. This is from Graziano. People see what Mike Vrabel has been able to do in New England this season and what Jim Harbaugh has been able to do with the Chargers his first 2 years there. And teams want to make sure that they're bringing in someone they know can run a program, not someone who has just been really good at a smaller job who they think can run a program. I think that gives guys like Vance Joseph, Arthur Smith, Matt Nagy, etc., a chance. Even if they weren't successful in their first stints as head coaches, they've done the job and probably learned from whatever mistakes they might have made the first time. So what do you make of that when you hear that? And, when I read that, Joe, I thought of, well, we want somebody who's a leader. We want somebody who's coming in, establishing that culture in sports. And that tends to, reading between the lines of what Borgonzi has been willing to say, which is not much on the coaching front to this point. I mean, one of those guys kind of stands out there just in terms of that type of candidate who has been a head coach in the league before.
Yeah, I get it. The thing is, a Clint Kubiak or a Joe Brady or someone else like that is going to inevitably be a star.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So to me, I want to be open to everything if I'm the Titans, because look, go back to Brian Callahan. He looked like one of those guys who might be a star, and of course, it didn't go well. And I think there's a lot of coaches who would have done poorly here with this group of players, but he distinguished himself and got himself fired in less than 2 years, and there was plenty that was just straight up on him. So I get the idea of, I think it's just it's a safety thing. It's a safer pick, someone who has been in charge of a franchise, and I think there's a lot of value in that. You know, that all the different things that go into that, because if you try to be too focused on what your area of expertise is, then a lot of things could erode around you, and you don't have any idea. So I agree with that. I still also would want to talk to some of these guys like Brady and Kubiak, and you know what, if it's like, I'm sorry, but this guy totally gets it. I mean, everybody can talk about all this stuff. They can talk about culture. They can talk about, I understand that we have to do this. I mean, like, you can talk it through. It's just a matter of, can you execute it? So I think the Titans will probably make the safer hire. And again, the people, like, that's why Saleh to me is also, it's just like those guys that were just mentioned in what you just read, that Saleh's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Mark's right, you know? There's some red flags about his tenure with the Jets. I still think that
there's red flags about all these guys, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's red flag.
I mean, even like Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl. He's been around for a long time, and he's relatively successful in Dallas until they got to the playoffs. But there are red flags on Mike McCarthy too.
Yeah,
he's not a perfect candidate out there.
Right, for sure. Well, and look, if Mike Tomlin came out and was available, again, I think teams would be falling all over themselves to hire him. But like, is there something to what Steelers fans say about the game passing by? I mean, I don't think so. But you know, you can still look at his tenure too and be like, okay, so why has it been mediocre for so long?
I'm trying to think of the scenario that the Titans could pull off here that the fan base would be the least excited about, because John, you know this, like when a team hires a new head coach, regardless of what the background is of that head coach, I mean, the fans talk themselves into it, right? Like, you talk yourself into, okay, well, that makes sense. It's going to be our guy.
Oh, sure.
I think what I've come up with is Titans fans, for the most part, and look, there'll be some people that get mad about whoever they are, but Titans fan, for the most part, if they hired a Nagy, if they hired Robert Saleh, somebody of that ilk who's been a head coach before and it didn't work out in their first stop, they'd say, you know what? Nagy was with the Bears and they were a disaster at the time, or Saleh was with the Jets and they're a disaster. So come here, learn from your mistakes first time around. It'll be fine. If they hired, one of those offensive gurus, or like a Clint Kubiak or, Joe Brady, one of those guys, they'd be like, well, it didn't work out the first time with Callahan, but we're going to find our guy, our play caller here. I think the one thing that Titans fans might be upset about is if they go combination of defensive guy who hasn't been a head coach before, right? Like, whether that's Jeff Hafley with the Packers, Jesse Minter of the Chargers, those type of guys.
It's working out in Seattle.
And that's true. Like, it's working out well in Seattle. And one of those guys may end up being the best candidate for the job. I just think background-wise, if they go combination of defensive coach who has also never been a head coach, that will meet the most resistance from Titans fans.
Yeah, I'd agree. That combination would be the least attractive, naturally. But again, if I'm the Titans, I have an open mind, because I can look at Seattle and say, okay, look at what they did. Now his OC, and then you get into, okay, so when when that guy moves on, then is that he has to replace the OC. You worry about replacing the OC. I mean, you worry, I think, a lot more in the NFL about replacing your OC than you worry about replacing your DC, even though really both of them can be huge losses, right?
Yeah.
But I agree that'd be the most complained about for sure. And I don't even know, Ryan Florida's throwing out Chris Shula. That's another name that has been thrown out there. Yeah. Because if you go defensive, you have mentioned you like Flores, and of course he has done it. He has done the head coaching, and with some success, by the way.
Yeah. And
then it went bad, and then it got weird, and apparently the owner asked him to tank, and then he sued the NFL, and but I mean, he is intriguing too.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. Lots more coming on the Titans head coaching front. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday, prior to the Monday Night Football game. Monday night matchup, the Dolphins taking on the Steelers, which is a pretty big game in the AFC. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Andrew Brunette will be with us coming up here in just over 10 minutes at 7:30. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the St. Louis Blues. Wes in Clarksville asking, regardless of which coach, is Brinker and Borgonzi going to let a new coach do what they need to do to succeed?
What does that mean?
I would assume that he's going to have the resources available to him. And the one thing we talked about yesterday was some of the turnarounds we've seen from some of these coaches that is important to bring up. You know, the Patriots, yes, Vrabel has done a very good job. Not to get people all riled up on Mike Vrabel.
All right.
But another thing
say it.
that they've had that has worked out well for them to this point, they spent a ton of money last offseason. They had the most cap space in the NFL. They went out and got very aggressive in free agency. And it wasn't, a ton of superstar players that they brought in. Wilkins, big move for the Patriots. But I think when you look at the cap space the Titans are going to have available to them, there is an absolute ton of money that they're going to have the opportunity to spend. Now, what's the quality of the free agents that are out there? Where are you targeting free agency? Like, are you trying to fill like a running back in free agency? Are you trying to fill at least one receiver spot in free agency? Like, how are you going to layer your targeting of those positions? I don't know. But the opportunity, at least from a money perspective, is going to be there. The Titans going to have a ton of money to spend this offseason if they choose to do so.
Yeah. So if that's what you mean, Wes, yeah, I mean, give the coach players. Yeah. I mean, you certainly hope they have full green light on that, right? I mean, I would hope that'd be the case. Not that you should just go out and spend, but you want to have the ability to use the space that you have. Texture says we have to quit trying to rebuild our identity. You got to get back to run the ball, sound defense, and QB's going to lay it on the line every Sunday. I don't want a first-time coach. Maybe I'm a homer, but who better than Eddie George to set that standard? So basically, you want it to go back to the early 2000s Titans and all, and you want another Steve McNair, and you want to, this whole, like running the ball and sound defense like that always works,
Sure.
So I mean, I guess in a way I get, but also I don't. I don't think that you need to, if you're any franchise, try to be like, let's be like we were in the good old days or the glory days. You just want to be as good as you possibly can be. And Eddie George, it's just, I just disagree. I mean, look, he just got the Bowling Green job, and we'll see how that goes. And maybe at some point he wants to come back and be an NFL head coach. The legendary player being a coach for the franchise. Who have we got there? Who have we got? Art Shell did coach the Raiders, and he was a great lineman.
Mike Vrabel
for the Raiders. We have Vrabel right now, after having a lot of success and being the NFL Coach of the Year at another franchise.
I'm just telling you.
No. I mean, that's good. I mean, but who else do we have? I mean, there's not much, right? Like there aren't that many great players that, great NFL players that end up coaches, especially now because you make so much money, right?
Right.
But yeah, what is that? I understand everybody loves Eddie George, and they should. And maybe someday Eddie George does well enough, in college football that he's an NFL head coach. But right now, that'd be a crazy hire.
I think so. He was on the DraftKings odds list that I read off yesterday. He was like, I don't know, 9th on the list or something like that. So he was on there.
All right.
I don't think that's going to be where they go.
No.
I would be very surprised by that. Nagy's a name that keeps coming up, and the Andy Reid discourse is out there pretty widely right now in the NFL. And it was even, I mentioned Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano, the piece where they're having all these conversations. Well, one of the things they talked about in the head coaching part of this was Andy Reid, right? And how there's been speculation as to whether or not he's going to retire dating back a couple of years. He did sign a contract extension a couple years ago. So, I mean, he's under contract for a few more years. He will be 68 in the spring. So, I mean, that is the one move, like specifically if you're wanting Nagy, like if the Chiefs if Andy Reid retired from the Chiefs, would they want to just look around and say, Nagy's been here, let's just keep it going with him? Or do they just open up the search to everybody and know that they've got one of the most attractive jobs out there with Mahomes at quarterback and do their due diligence that way? I don't know what they would do. I guess Andy Reid has given no indication that he's going to retire. So I guess until he does that, then you just assume he's going to be the head coach with Kansas City moving forward.
Yes. And it will be, whenever it happens, really fascinating. Now, I guess if it's like there's an extended downturn before the coaching change, and it's easier to be like, okay, let's just. But they're still gonna have Mahomes,
Right?
So it's like just do something new. But yeah, you could also make the case that they would want that continuity as much as possible. And again, it's like Nagy's coaching tenure with the Bears does. I mean, in retrospect, I think it looks better, much better than when he got fired. Wes in Clarksville followed up and said, "Well, look at the defensive coach now, Denard Wilson. They want to be a good coach. They have a good defense. They get rid of all his players." Well, right. I mean, that's I hear you, and there's some questionable decisions in there too. But that's also what happens in a season when you fire your head coach, and it's like clearly, like if you bring in a new coach, you're going to obviously try to. That's another fresh start, as the Titans have had many in recent years. But I mean, you have to keep this year in perspective in terms of like the season going down the tubes and firing the head coach.
Right. And I mean, look, there's a chance that I guess whoever, depending on who they hire, I guess there's a chance. And I heard TD talking about this a couple weeks ago on DVD. Maybe they keep Denard Wilson as defensive coordinator. Maybe. I mean, probably the most likely coach currently on the staff to be kept would be Fossil, right?
Yep.
I guess
I would think so.
Doing a pretty good job as special teams coach. So that would probably be the one. And by the way, I mean, he worked under Mike McCarthy. So if that's your target, then I guess that would be a pretty seamless fit there. One texter saying, why Nagy? He was terrible head coach in Chicago. Kansas City has a bad offense this year. Are we acting like he's some superstar offensive coordinator?
Well, he was, and then he got the Bears job. And again, you are talking an NFL Coach of the Year and 2 playoff appearances with Mitch Trubisky primarily as your quarterback. So it's eye of the beholder. I don't know that he was a terrible head coach. I think actually you might argue that he got more with less out of that. They are bad this year. You're right. Is that on him? I mean, again, this is when we start winding into look, maybe some stuff has passed him by, but it's probably more that they're struggling to block. They don't have playmakers. And Mahomes also hasn't been as good. So you can put some of that on the coaching if you want.
Sure. I mean, look, Nagy was 34-31 as Bears head coach, which is, it's an okay record. He got worse every year. He was 12-4 to start, and then he was 8-8 a couple years in a row, and then 6-11. Now, is that because he's just not a very good head coach and everything got worse? Or did they look around and be like, oh, yeah, it's like Mitch Trubisky, and I guess Justin Fields was the part of that last part of that. But, yeah, not very good. When was Justin Fields drafted?
It would have been 21?
21.
Yeah.
So that would have been, the last year of Nagy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a dysfunctional organization, so you have to keep that in mind too. Some other people throwing names out here. Jeff Saturday is
it's true.
Dick Bart's. I don't remember. Did Bart Starr coach the Packers?
He did.
John Madden. Did he play?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
I thought he played. I guess not.
He might have played like college football, but I don't think he was.
No.
Yeah. Ditka, Mike Ditka, but Ditka, I don't think Ditka played for the Bears, did he? I thought he played for the Cowboys. I could be wrong. But yeah, Dan Campbell actually technically did play for the Lions briefly. So I'd forgotten about that. But like there's also a difference. It's almost like, I don't know, the star legendary player even.
Ditka played for the Bears.
Did he play for the Bears?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, see, I'm not that old. I'm young, so I don't know these things.
Singletary, he wasn't a good coach.
Right. Didn't play for the
I want winners.
Didn't coach for the Bears, but he coached for the Niners, and yeah, he was he wanted to coach like he played linebacker.
We will have
which was great.
Predators head coach Andrew Brunette with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the St. Louis Blues. Preds playing some good hockey right now, trying for another win tonight at home. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Nashville Predators head coach Andrew Brunette to the program. Andrew, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. Great. Sun's out today.
Sun's out.
Nice sunny day.
Yeah. How's the Christmas shopping coming? We started on that yet? Because I have not.
No comment.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
We're on the same boat.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, Andrew, as I mentioned, you guys are playing better hockey, and you talked about this after the game the other night about some reasons why you think that's the case. But as you just look at particularly offensively, and I kind of want to focus in on that O'Reilly line. What do you think it's been about O'Reilly, Evangelista, and Stamkos together that has worked as well as it has for you guys to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Factor or with O'Reilly, I mean, I think he's kind of a driver, and whoever, like him and Phil always play really well together. We're kind of trying to look to spread the offense a little bit around, and just seems the lines he's on, they just seem to be driving, and I think he kind of, him and Vange and Stammer grabbed some chemistry right away. They had a little bit last year. They had a little brief moment probably in March where they played together for 5 games or so, 6 games, and they're fairly successful. And, you know, I think Stammer, he got a hat trick one night, but kind of got him, going a little bit. And this year felt the same thing. And then they've had really good chemistry. They've been, I thought they're outstanding, especially the second and third period last game. And they've been kind of driving us here through this little stretch.
What else during this stretch, Andrew, has gotten better in your mind, whether it's, on or off the ice?
Well, I think, well, for one, Juice has been outstanding. I mean, I thought one of his best games against the best team of the year the other night. I know he let in 3, 1 late, but he kept us in, especially the second period through some of those penalties and a little bit of our breakdowns, which you're going to have against a really good team. But I think with our group, I think, kind of said a little bit post game, we're a little bit battle tested. This group's never been tighter. They've never been shied away from the uncomfortableness that we've gone through this year, the little adversity that a lot of these guys have for the last few years, and we've stayed tighter as a group. And we know we're not perfect. We know, we're not Colorado, but we feel when we do certain things, there's a recipe for us to have success. And as a coach, the hard part was early in the year, the recipe was there, the work ethic, the drive, the togetherness was there. We just weren't getting the results. And that's really hard. But like I said, this group has never been tighter. And I think through those hard times, we didn't waver. We didn't really, there's different times in different years that you kind of waver and guys go their own way, and they've kind of stuck together through this. And for a coach, that's all you can ask for. I'm glad we're getting some results. But to me, the buy-in, the belief, and the togetherness is there. And we have an opportunity here to push ourselves through a break here.
So, Andrew, on Matthew Wood, I mean, he's got 8 goals so far in his rookie year. He's playing really well. And I think the thing that stands out to me the most about him is, I mean, immediately in his career, he is both willing and able to get to the middle, whether that's in front of the net or in the slot. And, I don't know that a lot of young players, when they first get in the league, can immediately do that. What do you think it is about Wood that has allowed him to get there as frequently as it seems like he does to me?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's a great point, and something that probably gets overlooked a little bit. And we all look for different things, and if it's a toe drag or if it's this or that, but he finds a way to get to the middle, and that's a great point. Couldn't articulate it any better. I think with his frame, I think he's got really good poise. Obviously, has really good hands that he's able to play in tight spaces that allow him to use his reach and his size to get to the middle of the ice. He's got great vision and he's got a great shot. And I think he's been a real fun player to watch right from camp. I've said this multiple times, the work he put in the summer. He absorbs information. It's almost like you can't give him enough, and he applies it. And it's really good to see young players like that get rewarded. One that put the work in, that come in the summer and come in great shape, better than they've ever been. And, even look back from last year when he had a cup of coffee at the end of the year, he was a sponge and his eyes were wide open. And he knew going the summer he needed to do certain things for him to have a chance to play at this level. He did them, and he continues to do them. He continues to work on his game. He continues to ask questions, and he continues to apply it. But it was a great point. He's willing and able. Some guys are willing to get to the middle, but they're not able. He's able to grab that middle ice, and when you grab the middle ice, you're a completely different threat.
Well, and just following up on that, Andrew, because Barry Trotz was talking about this the other day. Obviously, when you're a young guy coming in and you're his size, very often one of the things you got to work on a lot is your skating, and just the difference in his skating from even the cup of coffee he got last year to now. It seems like it's pretty dramatic. Like, from your standpoint as a coach, how much different is his skating from the end of last year to what you've seen so far this year?
Well, I think it's stronger. I mean, he always had a little bit of a glide. He's a big kid, and I think he's put on some more muscle to allow him to probably have a little more strength in his stride. But he has got really good glide for a big guy. It's smooth. I think everybody, when you're that size, it's hard to look really, really fast, but he's smooth. He's smooth on his edges where he's able to get around guys wide without really much effort. So obviously he has that ability naturally with his glide, but I think his strength has allowed him to push a little bit more and to have that little bit extra giddy up at different times.
So with Luke, obviously opportunity, who you're playing with, and opportunities are big deals for players. But what else from him are you seeing right now, Andrew?
Well, I think his skating. I think when he's moving his feet, I've always said this, he's a different player because of his stature. He's not the biggest guy where you look at him and Wood can kind of get away with it a little bit because of his reach and his ranginess, where Vange has to do it through probably niftiness and craftiness. And when he's not moving his feet, or he's not, kind of churning a little bit, he's not going to be able to create that space that allows him, one, like you said, Robby, to get inside, to allow him to he's getting inside a lot more when he's skating. And it reminds me a little bit about, 2 years ago when he had that really good second half of the year, he was skating. I thought last year he kind of got lost in our whole group, lost a little bit in transition, probably trying to figure out where his fit was, all kinds of different moving parts. And we really didn't get that cadence, or he didn't especially get that cadence and rhythm of playing in a certain position at a certain place. We used him a different role the year before, and he kind of lost himself a little bit, and he found himself late in the season. He's a player that I think as a staff, we believed in him right away because you could see his vision I guess you could see plays with the puck, offensive ability. And what he's grown, through the time we had him, he's very reliable on the other end of the ice. He's somebody that systematically is very sharp. He's played against McKinnon the last 2 games. We played him every shift, and he's held his own. And he probably wasn't able to do that his first 2 years or first year and a half. And now there's a little bit more trust that he's able to go against the top guys and still produce. So he's a young player that has a lot of confidence right now, and I think having Factor or Riley in the middle of the ice, anybody that he plays with, he seems to bump them up. He seems to, just his personality and what he does in the 200-foot game, he makes everybody else around him better. And Luke, credit to him, but there's a great chemistry right now with him and O'Reilly.
Andrew, we talked with you earlier this year about Svechkov and some of the struggles that were going on. And, we see this sometimes in pro sports. When you're in that second year, it can become a challenge. Have you seen some growth from him over the last couple of weeks? Where do you think Svechkov is right now?
Yeah, I see a little bit more confidence. Our growth, you could say that the last few weeks. I think getting his first goal, I think that was probably about 7 games ago, I believe, or give or take, was a really good bump for him. It's hard in this league to score, for one, and it's hard for a young player to go through a little bit of a drought like that. And it wasn't from effort. I think I see the effort, and then all of a sudden the effort's still there, but the confidence leaves you when you're not able to, get that first one as a young player. I think you put so much stock in goals when you're a young kid, and when they don't come easy, it kind of slowly deteriorates your whole game. And I think I saw that with him a little bit. You started worrying about him, not sure if he's going to find it. He got a goal, and he seemed to build his game a little off of that. I thought he was really good the other night. I thought he had a strong game in Carolina, and he's been trending upward here the last 5 or 6 games. And you hope he could continue to grow because he'd be a big piece going forward here. And that's kind of what we've been hoping for, banking on that some of our young players through that second half of the year are going to kind of push us to a different level here.
All right, Andrew, last thing for you. I know it's been a few games now, but you had Clark Lee in the locker room before the Calgary game. Dominant performance by you guys in that game. You know, as we know, we've talked to Clark Lee a lot. He can get the juices going. Are we going to have to call him in there from time to time and see and test his skills as a motivator in hockey?
Are you kidding me? I'd rather have him in there every game. Everything he touches it seems to end up as gold here. So it was great to see him. I obviously loved his energy, love what he brings. You know, I think he's a special coach, and the city of Nashville and Vanderbilt are really happy to have him, because you don't find too many Clark Lees around.
Bobby could be like a heat-seeking missile of a defenseman, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Bobby, get him on skates out
sure.
there.
Probably take a few boarding penalties.
Love to get him on the forecheck.
Well, Andrew, keep it up. Guys playing really good hockey right now. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll see you later this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Andrew Brunette, our guest here on the program. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the St. Louis Blues. They have won 5 out of their last 7, and we'll see if they keep it going tonight as they take on the Blues at Bridgestone Arena. We'll have the Rex Rant coming up next. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
And my belly was so big, I was like, dude, I'm going to die soon.
Did I say Rexrode right?
Rexrode.
Rexrode. Okay, let me do that
No
again.
worries.
I'll read the whole damn thing right now in your face. Here, read it. Come on.
Had a very shiny nose.
Send me that link. I'll read it during the commercial, and I'll tell people what you actually said.
How far up his ass are you, Paul?
Dadgummit.
Yeah, Steve, stop doing those Mayo commercials. You might play some quarterback.
That was good. That was good. Hey, that was good. Just in case you get it. That was a good. That was good. I asked Nick. He said it's good. I said, but at 90 was real good.
Hey, guys, you guys need a plumber? I was just in the neighborhood.
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. I hesitate to talk anymore because I just want to let this play.
So did Creed Boy actually record this? Or is this like some AI using of his voice or a similar voice?
It has to be AI.
Creed Boy.
Creed Boy.
Yeah, I'm going to doubt they got Scott Stapp to do that for the just the actual.
Are you
recording.
sure?
I mean, I'm not sure.
I mean, he's going to be playing at the Wilson County Fair next summer.
First off, it's a big event.
I know.
Good stuff. Tennessee State Fair now.
Is that right? They don't call it the Wilson County Fair anymore?
No, it's the Tennessee State Fair.
Jeez, I'm sorry. Okay, well, he's going to be
So
playing.
let's show some respect
All right.
to Creed Boy.
Well, I was thinking about hiring him for a birthday party. Okay.
I think we can crowdfund that.
Yeah. Boy, what a nightmare that would be. All right, today this is what I want to talk about today. I'd like to ask people why you can't be nicer to media people. Why do you hate us? Why do so many of you hate us? Yeah, I'm actually going to specifically rip Michigan State fans, okay? Because I saw this yesterday. Because these things happen, okay? And there's a local example of this too that I'm going to get to. But here's a Michigan State account, because of course these things happen with Michigan, and the Michigan State and Ohio State fans in particular are just absolutely having a parade. But also, here's this tweet, which I responded to. He said, how did people know about this, but the paid reporters who are around that team and city every day didn't? Or did they and refused to report it? And I responded, I said, do you not understand the difference between hearing about or knowing something, a rumor, hearing something, and then being able to report it? I mean, it's still touchy now. We still don't know now exactly what all happened. There's going to be another side. There's going to be a lawyer for Sherrone Moore. Believe me. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out. He's going to contest the firing for cause, all this stuff. There's criminal stuff involved in this. And yet, whenever any rumor happens of a team you hate, it's always the unethical people who covered the other team, right? They're all scumbags. That's what it always turns into. I mean, from what I can tell, there was one Michigan reporter who works for like a recruiting site who is a total fanboy. Who, again, some of the people, some, not all, some of the people who work at some of the recruiting sites for any big team they should not be considered reporters. They should be considered fans who have access to the program. Okay. So from what I can tell, one person came out and said, these things are untrue, tweeted it or whatever. This is all BS, or put it on a post. I don't even know. This is all BS. It's all untrue. So now the entire press corps that covers Michigan is that person. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So let's bring it locally too. I mean, this whole thing with like the plane here, I understand that Kaharski, let me talk about this. At my old radio station. I know that he just gets his jollies from this, okay? But I mean, look, it's a mistake. It's a young reporter mistake. He shouldn't have done it. It's not a big freaking deal. Okay, the Titans want to take him off the plane, take him off the plane. I mean, but the reaction I've seen to this, which of course is like to Kaharski's just tweet that he just probably reads over and over in the mirror and just like hugs himself. Oh, he got kicked off the plane. I mean, the responses to that are just completely savaging this person. And it's just, calm down, man. We're just out here trying to cover your sports teams. Can you just try to be a little nicer?
Yeah, I think that's
Thank
serious. You think that's serious?
It's really not that deep. I mean, it was a mistake. And the thing is, like, the comment itself, I mean, it is kind of a funny anecdote, right? Like, it's not like it's like reporting some huge news like, oh, I heard Rand was asleep on the plane instead of watching film. Oh, my God.
Especially my husband, Archie Bunker.
I don't know why I'm feeling necessary to go off on Kaharski today, but it's just like,
I think it's your default.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's just take a shot at PK.
Yeah, but I mean, he is central to this because, like, it's a mistake, but it was like kind of a funny little anecdote. It really was like a tongue-in-cheek moment. But the problem is then people now take it also seriously, like Cam Ward was like upset they won or whatever people are doing with it. I think maybe just the big lesson is let's have a little more grace for everybody, okay?
I think it's a good message.
Including people in sports media. We're people too. We're people. We pay bills. We have families. You know,
it's true.
Social media can be very mean. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
It's a good message. I think you did the Kuharski voice impression no less than 4 times in that one, in that little soliloquy you did there. So good stuff.
I haven't done it really in a while. Maybe
I know. I've been
I just kind of missed it. You know. Yeah, but you can't do it too much. You know, you got to kind of pick and choose your spots and I thought this was a good time because
I'm not a swinger.
A pineapple? I have no idea what that means.
Oh, boy.
You weren't monitoring your tone very much.
Good old Kaharski.
Good old Kaharski.
So anyway,
in 11th place in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League.
Oh yeah, see?
And as Jared from the YouTube
now
chat pointed out,
you're ripping him too.
Apparently, in his own league, he's in dead last. So not very good stuff.
Is that right?
That's what he said.
He's dead last in the paulkaharski.com
That's
league?
what he said.
Good Lord.
I remember him saying during our draft, he took the sleeper of the draft and Dolphins tight end Darren Waller.
Yeah.
It's worked out well. Turn out too great.
Now I was starting to think back. Like, who did he? I don't even know who he has. What did he talks?
Well,
all
he
this.
missed the draft, so that didn't help too. He was.
By the way,
he
quick
was
aside,
on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Has there ever been in the history of any sports organization more conversation around the team playing? Ever?
That's a good point.
I mean,
the plane,
the whole thing. When this franchise went sideways and the plane from Green Bay, they haven't recovered since. There's more conversation around a team playing with the Tennessee Titans than any other team I've ever seen.
This texter Jack says, "Does he know who was bartending on the plane from Green Bay?" No, you're right.
A lot of conversation about the plane with this group.
Yeah, it's well. I do need to find out like what the logistics look like then on that. I guess I could ask.
Why do we keep having incidents on the plane? We're just gonna have a charter bus from now on,
like the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, good grief. We'll have Charles Robinson with us coming up next. We'll get into the Titans and all things NFL with him, including the return of 75-year-old quarterback Phillip Rivers to the NFL. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Charles Robinson, Ian Safar here with you. And Charles Robinson's here too on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Charles, it's a game we play every week. How late can Rexrode text you? And I think today's the winner. How we doing?
Yeah, texting you topics.
Why don't you just take me off hold, pick up a phone, and be like, hey, I know you're on hold, and we're going on air in 13 seconds, and say topics?
That would require me moving from my chair.
By the way, I mean, there's so many things to talk about that we don't need Charles's help on topics this week. You know what we're talking about.
I know, but sometimes I like to have a little pre-show meeting with Charles.
Few things happened yesterday and beyond.
Boy, did they ever.
Yeah.
Well, let's start there. Phillip Rivers, at age 44, not having played in the NFL since 2020, is now back in the National Football League with the Indianapolis Colts, and I guess is going to play on Sunday against the Seahawks, which frankly kind of scares me to death against that defense. But Charles, what a story and what a development in Indianapolis. Your take on Phillip Rivers deciding to give it a go at the age of 44, being 5 years removed from playing football.
I enjoyed as I watched this press conference, I was like, oh, look at his face. It's nice and round like me as I went deep into my 40s. I'm like, it's uncanny how your face gets more round and other parts of your body get more round the later you get into your 40s. And I thought to myself, I'm like, is someone going to ask him about his weight? I was like, is this going to happen? Are we going to see a quarterback ask him about his weight? And he got asked about his weight. And I could tell it bothered him a little bit that he got asked about his weight and initially didn't want to say what he was tipping at. I think eventually he said 237. I was like, yeah, right. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, you got to be more than 237 at this point. It's entertaining. It's wild. I don't know. I mean, I guess the way you sort of sorted out Andrew Siciliano, we're talking about it. We're saying, we're like, is it, who are these guys who you could qualify to bring back off the couch? And obviously Flacco is one, but Flacco had been out for like 11 months. You figure it's got to be guys who have arms, right? These arms, like, all right, if they've got arms, they're not necessarily guys who moved in their career anyway. They didn't have a high end of athleticism in terms of running away from people. They just need to be able to take a snap, know how to read a defense, stick their feet in the ground and sling it. I guess he qualifies, but I had to literally go back. I didn't even remember. I was like, what was his arm looking like at the end of his career, as we got to COVID? And, I think he'd started to lose his fastball a bit at that point. So I don't know what this is going to look like. And then when I looked at it, obviously there's Seattle, but the schedule in general, look, Jacksonville's defense not exactly playing poorly right now. The Houston Texans,
pretty good.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck playing against that defense. I will be very, very fascinated to see how he performs, coming out of retirement at this point. And also what's interesting to me is he just resets he's like a semifinalist in like Hall of Fame voting. And now the second he steps on a field, he reboots that. So that all starts over again. And Frank Schwab said something interesting. He said, I bet you if he plays well, he was like, I don't expect it. He said, but if he plays well over the next 4 games and pulls a rabbit out of a hat, he said, I bet he gets more Hall of Fame votes in the long run.
I totally agree with that. I don't think you tell me if you disagree. We asked Kaharski this yesterday. I don't think he's quite a Hall of Famer. But if he does this and does anything with this, you reset the clock, but you might actually have a better chance, right?
I don't think he's an automatic Hall of Famer. I think he's one of those guys where he had great stats for years. Unfortunately, he was in an AFC where he was never going to get through Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. Like, he just had that roadblock and played for some unbelievable teams in San Diego when the Chargers were there. And, but he was going to have a tough time because there was just no signature. He never made it to a Super Bowl. There wasn't a lot of signature games where, and I know they talk about that, signature games, signature moments, where did you fit amongst your peers? But yeah, I mean, this is different. This certainly would be something we've never seen happen before. Someone just stepped back into football after a legitimate, it wasn't like this guy was out there training to play again. It wasn't like I kind of made it the made the joke about Moneyball about Scott Hatteberg, sitting in his living room and getting the call from Billy Beane, like, "Are you going to let us in? We're outside." He's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, the next thing you know, he's playing, first base for the A's. Yeah, it's a wild, very entertaining storyline this late in the year. And I love it because the one thing I always loved about Rivers was, despite not being a guy who cussed the way some guys cuss, he is a world-beating trash talker in the NFL. And the stories you used to hear when he played, I remember one time J.J. Watt told the story, and I think he might have even said it on social media since then, but one time he told the story about Phillip Rivers was at the line of scrimmage and they had some kind of blitz look on, the Texans did, and Phillip said to one of their linebackers, "Hey, where you," and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of, "Yo, hey, where you're blitzing, the blitz you have on is wrong for the pickup that we have for the play we're running. You're in the wrong spot." He's blitzing the wrong spot. And Watt started laughing. He couldn't stop laughing when he did. He's one of the funniest dudes ever. So
he is a funny mother farter, I will say that about Phillip Rivers. So on a serious front on this whole thing with the Colts, Charles, they've gone all in. They traded for Sauce Gardner. No one can foresee, that Daniel Jones is going to tear his Achilles. But where, now you have so much. I mean, this complicates things further. Where do you think they are on Ballard, Steichen, in light of all that has taken place here?
Well, are you asking, should they be in trouble? That kind of thing?
Well, I've seen some people speculate that they are, and I was like, I
yeah,
kind of feel like this year has been a little bit validating more than anything, but obviously it's, some bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, you'd really be firing them for an injury, right? I mean, the Daniel Jones.
Maybe you separate them though, right? Because Ballard has been there a long time trying to figure this out.
Yeah, but I would say, when they're 8-2 and they're heading into their bye, how did you feel about Chris Ballard then? You're looking at the roster and you're going, okay, well, the offensive line's playing really well. They're it's finally healthy. It's taken forever, but the unit's finally healthy again, relatively, and it's playing well. You went out and you resolved the quarterback, stink that you made. But by the way, your owner was involved in that. Your owner wanted Anthony Richardson. Your owner wanted Anthony Richardson to play, immediately. Jim Irsay, may rest in peace. But I mean, it's not like he didn't have a hand in that. Tyler Warren, great pick this year in terms of the tight end addition. Other players on that roster, I think, who were written off all of a sudden were activated again. Michael Pittman Jr., right? We didn't expect any. All of a sudden you put a quarterback in there, hey, all these players are viable suddenly. And Jonathan Taylor is, running like an MVP potential, running back. All that happens into the bye. You get the narrow loss against Kansas City. And then, next thing you know, you run into a Houston Texans team that I think you're not alone. All of a sudden, everyone's figuring out, this defense has been really, really good all year long. All it needed was the offense to become adequate, and that's all it's done. But the defense is clearly carrying this team. I think they both in tandem turned the team around enough that it would have been foolish to think either was in trouble. And then the injury happens. And remember, it was the broken, leg, I guess, for lack of a better term, when you talk about Daniel Jones, and then the Achilles happens on top of it. I don't know that you can fire them for that. They solved it. It's just bad luck. I mean, it's not for lack of talent on the team. It was one major decision they made, I feel like, really sunk that team for a couple of seasons. It was the quarterback. You should be held accountable for that, but you also showed you had an ability to fix it properly, or at least get it into a place where, the team was viable again, and they did that. So I don't know. I mean, I would just tend to believe that if you fire him at this point, it's because of the fact that they had one shot to fix it. They fixed it. The guy got hurt, and you're weighing that in, and you're saying, well, you got hurt. You chose a player who was risky, and it didn't work out for you for a health
But
standpoint.
you also went all in the Sauce trade. And it was that, you know what I mean? Was that the prudent thing to do, even as well as things were going at that point? I mean, that, you know
Who
what I mean?
argued against it at the time, though? That's my thing.
I saw some people criticize it.
Who out there was sitting there saying, you know, this is a terrible idea? It was you said it was risky. You're like, oh, this is their window. I think if you're fair about what the team looked like, about what you had in, you know, Daniel Jones and everything coming together, it made sense to me because I'm like, I get it. You feel like you're in the window now. You have Daniel Jones under a 1-year contract. You don't know. I mean, you assume he's going to finish out the year well, and you're going to sign him to a long-term extension. None of that has happened. And so you don't really know exactly how this can go awry. And, you know, even then, if it does go awry, Sauce Gardner's not a bad player. He's a very good player. He's going to be on your team and in your window for the next few seasons. You know, I don't have a problem with the Sauce trade. You know, it's not, I think they traded for a guy who's not quite an all-pro, you know, corner at the point that they trade him. He gets hurt too. You know, that's a whole other issue as well. For a minute, I thought Sauce had torn his Achilles. And I'm like, man, this is, you know, that's another guy. They got lucky that it wasn't, but I don't know. I guess it's like, if this is the Jets, yeah, that's an instant fight. It's Indianapolis. Like, really, it's the Colts. Like, this isn't, you know, it's not the Bears. It's not, you know, some super high octane. What are you doing? What's every move is scrutinized. These guys, if it was, these guys would have been fired last year. Like, this would have happened already. I think they've done enough, and I'm not defending anybody there, by the way. I'm certainly not going to bat for anyone in the organization, but I felt like they fixed this team, you know, adequately, and they just ran into problems and injuries and stuff that happens. And to tear it all down now, I guess my question would be, is it a reboot? Because now the guys that you've committed to, the next regime might not like them. You know, I mean, the Titans are in the same situation. Who knows? When, you know, you bring in a new coaching staff, they're going to have to make some decisions on guys, you know, where it concerns the Titans. The same thing would happen with the Colts. And I think you had a winning team. You just ran into injuries. And by the way, Phillip Rivers could maybe he goes 4-0 to close the season, and none of this is even a conversation. I highly doubt that, but you know, prepare your Hall of Fame ballots in 2030 if he does.
So, Charles, it was a strange press conference yesterday with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. He got up and left at one point, and then he comes back, says if he wants to keep doing this, he's got to have fun doing it, and if it's not, then what's he doing it for? He was at one point asked about, you know, he seemed frustrated, and he just said there's a lot of things going on right now, a lot of things going on. Asked if it was football related or personally, and he said all of the above. So, yeah, a lot of reaction to that press conference yesterday. What did you make of what Joe Burrow had to say, and maybe more specifically the way that he was saying it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Anytime somebody says all of the above, you're sitting there and you're saying there's clearly some things going on here that I don't know about. Like, I presume, you know, in his personal life, there are things going on that maybe we're not a party to, that are adding to the, you know, miserable nature of how this season has unfolded for him. I think there's certainly a part of it where you're like, does this feel like Andrew Luck? Like, are we getting to the point where this guy has suffered, you know, the ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus tear, you know, another grade 2 MCL sprain, torn wrist ligament, grade 3 turf toe. You know, it's all things that in a very short amount of time, and this is all since 2020, that he's constantly rehabbing himself for injuries over and over again. And then he's getting on the field, and the Cincinnati Bengals are incapable of putting out a balanced product that actually gets them back into Super Bowl contention. I'm sure, and players will tell you this often, like the mental side of rehabbing injuries is far more difficult than we see, mostly because we never see it. They're just, you know, it happens in the background. Often they're away from the team, considering how significant the injury might be. you don't know what the mental toll is that has taken on him. And he's clearly signaled now he's not enjoying this. He's not enjoying playing football. And then the process of getting himself back and healthy to play football. And that's leading him into places where I feel like it was pretty clear he's questioning playing in the NFL, playing quarterback, like what he's doing in his life and what's making him happy. That would set off alarm bells for me. I mean, I think everybody in the organization should be like, hey, where are we at mentally with this guy? Where are we at physically with this guy? Because he's already made enough money at this point that if he wanted to do an Andrew Luck and say, you know what, I've got other interests in life. I feel like physically I'm not in a position where I want to continue to do this. My body, feels broken and I just can't keep getting myself back to, rehabbing every year or wondering if we're going to fix the defense and scoring 40 points and losing games. Maybe he walks. I highly doubt it, but I thought the same thing with Andrew Luck. I thought that was the most preposterous thing I'd ever heard. But then, we heard from Andrew Luck afterward what it was like getting himself physically rehabbed all those times he had injuries and the mental toll it took, and how that just kind of sucked football, his enjoyment of football out of him. And as the years went by, he reiterated it. He told deeper stories about it. You kind of understand it. Go back and watch. I think it's interesting. Go back and watch the quarterback series on Netflix. Burrow to me was by far of all the sports content they produced, Burrow to me was by far the most, I think, just fascinating person. When you kind of listen to him, the interests he has, how he approaches things, the people that he keeps around him in terms of his circle. He was, there was a lot more nuance to his personality, and I thought kind of made that show. And when you watch it in I guess, in the wake of these remarks, maybe that tells you something about who he is. He doesn't just think about, football 24/7. There are other things in his life that he considers, and maybe that plays into this. So I don't know. You guys heard it. What do you think? We don't hear press conferences like that a lot,
No,
where guys just stand up there like that.
Well,
He's a different dude.
Well, and the other part is, like, people have wondered, like, does there come a point, even though that, they have paid Jamar Chase and they have paid T. Higgins, does he look around and say, get me out of here? Like, maybe it's not walking away from football, but does he say, get me out of here? I want to go play somewhere else.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, you would think, and he has a extremely close relationship with those guys. And there was a lot of behind the scenes pushing by him to pay both of those guys. Man, that would be, you would wonder, like, how he would feel personally about, like, hey, I did all this, I pushed for this commitment, how would you feel then bailing? You kind of feel like you'd be leaving some guys behind, who you really push to get in the fold there. I don't know, Robbie, that's a good, I guess I didn't really consider, is this Joe Burrow saying maybe I need to just not be here? He wouldn't be the first Bengal to feel that way. That's for sure. So, and I think even with the injury history, there's no question in my mind, the teams that would line up for him would be the best of the best. I mean, every, Shanahan, McVay, I mean, take your pick. Sean Payton would probably dump Bo Nix. I don't think,
thanks, Bo.
I'm not sure. Like, there were many quarterbacks who wouldn't dump for Joe Burrow, even with the injury history, right? So if that's ultimately what he wanted, I think the opportunities to not be a Bengal and go play elsewhere would be there. I'd have to look at the cap ramifications, though. In my mind, I'm kind of like, without having it in front of me, I'm sure it's
crazy.
Difficult. Yeah, I'm sure it's insane.
So I guess the topic is AFC teams in turmoil. So let's go to the Chiefs. Charles, are we seeing like a legit, like, there's going to be a reset kind of thing? I mean, I think it's pretty clear they're probably not going to make the playoffs. I mean, it's possible still, but I would call it very unlikely. And, if so, what about Andy Reid? The possibility that maybe, he's close to hanging it up. I guess as it relates to our market, Matt Nagy, of course, is a guy who people have talked about. So you could look at him as a successor. You could look at him as a guy who's getting blamed some people have brought that up for like their offensive struggles. Where are you on the Chiefs and where things might go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think there has been a feeling inside the organization that, sure, we don't want to do the remodel. We don't want to. They've never called it a reboot. Anytime you've asked them about like, hey, is there sort of a natural kind of reboot that has to happen at some point? To them, it's always been this idea of like a remodel. Like, hey, we'll always have Patrick. There's always going to be some certain players on a roster that will keep us competitive, and there might be some seasons where, in the middle of Patrick's prime, we're going to have to scoot some guys out and maybe reimagine parts of the roster, and maybe even Andy's going to have to look at the way that he calls plays and how game flow works, and even he's going to have to grow a little bit. I would say maybe it's a little like, you think about Sean McVay when they made the transition from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford. Even before that transition, McVay had started to think about how he was calling offensive plays, how defenses had caught up to his offense. And McVay will tell you he went through this period and it was very difficult for him. And he obviously, he had some lows, very, very low lows before and after that Super Bowl window. And it had to do with realizing he had to change the way he did things. He had to, alter his offense because the NFL had grown up to it. And now to bypass it, he needed to learn how to be more versatile as a play caller and lean on different aspects of not only offensive players, but defensive players. And then post Super Bowl went through the same thing, almost left for Amazon. And the thing that ended up reinvigorating him was as they remodeled, they got a bunch of young guys onto the team. I think especially defensively, I feel like where McVay really turned a corner, I remember talking to him and it was just, they had drafted all these young defensive guys. Practices were very challenging, but there was all this energy on the field and he fed off that. And that kind of changed him where he was from a coaching standpoint. He forgot what it was like to have a lot of young guys who were hungry to learn, who were also talented, and it reinvigorated, I think, both the Rams. It reinvigorated in some ways Matthew Stafford at that stage, who, post Super Bowl every year is considered retirement in the off season. And now I think that's sort of where you're at with the Chiefs. I think when you look at the roster, you can see, I mean, look, the running back room, you got a 30-year-old Kareem Hunt who's really shouldering a lot of the load. You look Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, he's 26, but you can't tell me that you can't do something more dynamic with the backfield, and also in Andy's play calling, commit to actually running the football. That's part of it too. I criticize them a lot for not consistently finding a running game. Well, part of it has been the way Andy calls games. And maybe Patrick calls games at the line of scrimmage when he has an RPO option. Will sometimes use the R. So I think when you look across the roster, you see certain parts that can be revamped. I mean, even the wide receivers, it's a collection of guys. To me, like, Rashee Rice, he's 25 and you expect a lot out of him, but that, he has to turn that corner and be that ace number one that you expect. And Xavier Worthy's got to be more than just a gadget guy. He has to develop more of the route tree. The offensive line, frankly, I think a large portion of it is going to have to be, retooled, other than, Josh Simmons and maybe like a Trey Smith. You got a couple of guys that are in their 20s and still have window left, but I don't think they look at it as a total reboot. I think they look at it as, hey, Kelsey, we're going to have to replace Kelsey at some point. We're going to have to replace some of these leaders. Eric Bieniemy left our program. And by the way, this I think is a little bit of an underrated thing. When Eric Bieniemy was there, his reputation, I mean, he was borderline mean to a lot of players. Like he coached guys really, really, really hard. And I think since he's been gone, that has not been entirely there, partially because they didn't need it. You had a veteran group. You don't need someone who is literally on top of you, screaming, holding you accountable for stuff. since he's been gone, I think some players on that roster probably needed to have a boot, up the rear at times, and they didn't. And I almost wonder too, in the coaching staff, if there's not some tweaks to, kind of push some of these players harder, particularly as they, as I said, remodel and you bring in some younger guys who the point is to have more of that boot camp mentality. You lose that when you have a quote unquote dynasty. That happens. You get into this velvet rut where it's like, hey, we're successful. We can always pull it out. Our leaders can turn it on, and it overcomes some of the deficiencies until it doesn't. And I think ultimately that's where we've seen the Chiefs fall. But I have no doubt they need some injection of some young guys with juice who want to learn. It's like you got the old dog, you go out and you get the puppy, and the old dog gets reinvigorated because the puppy's now in the house, and it just changes the dynamic. That there's a little bit of that I think is needed in Kansas City.
All right, last thing for you, Charles. Are the Eagles going to draft a quarterback in 2026? That's all the rage right now in Philadelphia.
I mean, they like the backup they like the backup that they have already. I mean, do you really need Tanner McKee? They really like him, and I don't think they would be upset at all if, for a reason that is not benching Phillip Rivers, they would ultimately have to play him. That's what you hear in the organization, that they're like, hey, we actually have a guy in house who's really, really good, and we think could be, if we were to trade him elsewhere, could be a pretty good starter in this league. I just don't see. I mean, look, Jalen Hurts. Here's the thing about Hurts. Like, he's won, obviously, Super Bowl MVP. Probably would have two if they, they win a Super Bowl. They were very close to winning with him. To me, it's just going to have to be a remodel around him. They're going to have to figure out. He's not. Who is it? It's like Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network. He would always say trucks and trailers, right? Some guys are trucks, some guys are trailers as quarterbacks. He's like right in between there. I mean, we're looking at him now, the way he's playing now, he's a trailer. They're going to have to build it out around him, and ultimately that's how you're going to win Super Bowls. But Saquon Barkley, if he rushes for 2,000 yards, there's going to be an echo the next year, which is the echo is, hey, he shouldered a load. Running backs, after they have these 2,000-yard seasons, feels like for a lot of them historically, and there have not been a lot of them, but there's a price to pay on the other side of it. And I think Saquon, we've seen him pay that a little bit. He does not look like he's running the same way he did last season. The offensive line has not been healthy this year. That has hurt them. He's had his ups and downs, that being Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown nonstop. And part of it is just not being willing to throw vertically. Other parts of it are, he's always been a guy who's a little soft throwing over the middle of the field. Not playing his best football, but usually how you get around that, if it is a decent player, maybe you change the quarterback's coach. Maybe you bring him in and say, okay, let us help you, let's change the offense a little bit. What do you like that we're doing? What is not working for you? What can we unlock that can get you back to playing like you were in 2022 when he was like an MVP? Another thing too, he doesn't run, especially that was the reason why they went and got Saquon. There was a period in his career where he was running quite a bit in these RPOs, and that stopped. They went and got a running back to keep the damage that was being inflicted on Jalen Hurts to dial it down. Maybe that's part of what he misses, as a player, that makes him feel and play at a top level. But that's another one. Robby, go look at the contract. Like, yeah. It's funny because I was working on something on it, and I floated out to guys like, hey, could Saquon be like a Jared Goff, where at some point they're like, hey, it's just not working here, and we have to alter it. And universally people just laugh. They're like, dude, you can't get the money, the dead cap tied to him is insane. They're like, there's no way you could ever do that with him. There would be way too much dead cap that you would be carrying, and they are not a team that can afford to carry a ton of dead cap. So you're going to have to figure it out around him. And, I would guess the only thing at all that could change this is, let's say he suffers some kind of an injury. He's out for a sustained period of time, and Tanner McKee comes in and just absolutely lights it up. And then you're sitting there with it's like Tua and Jalen Hurts all over again at Alabama. You're like, what? Okay, wait a minute. Maybe we need to rethink our commitment at this point and do the math and figure out how we can smartly pivot. But I don't see it.
Charles, awesome stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this week. Enjoy potentially watching Phillip Rivers this weekend, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, gentlemen. Have a good weekend.
You as well, man. Charles Robinson with us here on the program. We'll react to what Charles had to say coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Today, between noon and 3, Chase and Big Joe will have your chance to win a $100 Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card and qualify to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamond gift card as well. It's 12 days of Christmas on 102.5 The Game. This Sunday, check out our NFL Game of the Week, the Vikings and the Cowboys at 7:20 on 102.5 The Game. NFL Game of the Week presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in 12 South. Appreciate Charles Robinson for being with us in the last segment. A lot of interesting storylines this week beyond Phillip Rivers in the NFL. You got the Chiefs and Travis Kelce on his podcast lamenting about what is going on in Kansas City this year. You got Joe Burrow at his press conference yesterday looking like he would rather be doing anything else at that point and have people like they just flashed up on the screen on ESPN a minute ago, like the stats comparison between him and Andrew Luck and like how many times they had been sacked and the injuries and all those things. So, and then meanwhile, Joe, you've got Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia turned the ball over 5 times last week. Their offense can't get anything done so far this year. They're reeling right now in the NFC playoff picture because they just can't get anything going on the offensive side of the ball. Saquon can't run. The passing attack hadn't been any good. A.J. Brown's been subtweeting all year. So a lot of stuff going on in the NFL right now.
Yeah. Interesting stuff from Charles, I think in particular on Hurts. By the way, they were reeling, but they're still going to win the division, right?
Yes. Unless the Cowboys catch fire.
Yeah, like I think they're still going to win the division probably and probably get a home playoff game, and they could make a run. But, yeah, I mean, I watched that whole game the other night. I mean, the funny thing is Hurts really caught fire in the second half. They were taking control of the game. Hurts put a perfect pass on A.J. Brown in the end zone to win the game, and A.J. dropped it. I mean, there was a little bit of a punch out there by the DB, but it's just a play that you totally expect A.J. Brown to make, and the game's over. And Jalen Hurts overcomes, I guess at that point, 4 turnovers, including, again, 2-on-1 play and all as well. Look, I'm not going to say that he's blameless here, but I think the history of Jalen Hurts and then watching them play, I think I'm sticking with him as my quarterback if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles. I agree that one thing is the run threat is definitely diminished now. I think there's some fair criticism about not trying to throw it deep. I mean, you just look at their talent on offense, and it's like, how are you messing this up? I mean, he has played at as high a level as you could ask a quarterback to play in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You got the 2 receivers out there. I feel like DeMonte Smith just hasn't been as impactful. Barkley, not as good, but he's still really good. Goddard, I mean, I don't know. You wonder if there's just some disconnect too, which we've talked about with them. They've already fired an OC during this whole stretch too, right? So it's an interesting situation, but the idea of them like drafting a quarterback, that's
what people are talking about in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you go so fast to that in any market. Again,
they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was just the MVP for the Super Bowl winning team last year. And yeah,
by the way, could win it this year. Probably won't, but could.
Yeah. It's amazing how quickly people go to that. I mean, look, we're here totally different situation, but it's a rookie year for the number 1 overall pick, and people are talking about Titans. What do you think? Mendoza? Which to me is just lunacy, but people go there.
They do. They go
there.
They
do go there.
They do. Interesting stuff on the Andy Reid front as well. It's going to be interesting if it goes the way we think it's going to and they miss the playoffs. How do they respond to it if you're the Chiefs? Like, first off, what's Travis Kelce going to do? Is he going to retire? Or is he going to move on after this year? I think Charles nailed it. Like, I understand you've got Patrick Mahomes, and he's a great player. Not having a good year, by the way, but great player. Going to go down as an all-time great. You have to be able to run the football some, don't you? Like every now and then, you need to be able to turn around and run the ball, and they just can't at all right now.
But also can't, but also don't seem too interested in it.
Yeah.
I think too often. I mean, I love that. RPO. The R stands for run. You can choose to hand on an RPO, And yeah, so I think that's a good point. There just aren't that many teams that don't have, and I know with the Bills, they haven't had great running back. Now they do now, but they haven't had that, but they've had the quarterback there. Like some threat, more threat from Hurts previously. Big part of it. And obviously last year, Barkley, 2,000-yard season. So I think that's a good point. Indy Ben weighed in on the Colts, by the way. And a surprising comment, Robbie.
Okay.
So Colts were collapsing before the injury. Steichen was calling awful games, not giving JT the ball late. I think a lot of Colts fans would prefer bringing a new staff and are iffy on Ballard saying as well. And then it's probably best Jones is brought back in a deal that pays less than what Darnold got in Seattle. So that's interesting. I'm a bit surprised to hear that. They were the toast of the league
a few weeks ago.
Not that long ago.
We do have a vote for Diego Pavia to replace Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia.
Okay.
There you go.
Diego
Get Pavia
Pavia
in
be
there.
the perfect Jalen Hurts successor. Pavia in that offense.
Be fun.
It would be fun. I mean, he'd be fun in any offense, but
tush push.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia tush push.
He's definitely smaller than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he is.
Is that going to work? You can just like a tush lift, just throw him over the pile.
Look, it's not the only part of it. Part of what makes the tush push very successful for Philadelphia, like people talk about the line, and that's a big part of it. But part of it is also Jalen Hurts can squat like 900 pounds. So it's hard to bring him down.
He squat more than most linemen.
Yeah, so
ever.
That helps.
Now,
615.
Pavia's strong little guy.
He is. He ain't that strong.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Got some tickets to give away to the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl at Nissan Stadium. Tennessee and Illinois coming up on December 30th. Be caller 6. Caller number 6. 615-737-1025. We got more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Join Chase and Big Joe today from noon to 3 at Duncan, located at 1040 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Nashville. Stop by with a stuffed toy, donate it to a child this holiday season. We've partnered up with Nashville Children's Alliance to give stuffed toys donated by you. Just for stopping by, you'll be qualified for a 4-pack of tickets to the all-inclusive 501 Club at Bridgestone Arena to a Predators home game. Special shout out to the Metro Nashville Police Department, the Catalano Group, the Bluemont Group, Family Leisure, Thompson Machinery, Richmar Florist, Right Time HVAC, and Relodyne for their support with this as well. For more information and a list of Duncan locations that you can donate a stuffed toy, visit thegamenashville.com/toy. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Let's welcome in Trey to the program on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Trey, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. Good morning, my guys. How y'all doing?
What's up, Trey?
Hey, I just want to say, after thinking about the Titans win last week and the cold, frigid weather and the snow and how they put that game plan together, I don't think they should have a problem going to San Francisco playing in 60, 65 degree weather, sunny, maybe a little bit cool. I don't see, them having a problem going in there putting up some points. Now, if they win, that will be great. I hope they win. They have a good chance of winning, no matter what the FanDuel and all them other characters say. We have a good chance to win. I think the team is improvement, and I think that Cam, if he start doing, throwing the ball a little bit more, and the wide receivers catch the ball, that would be great. But if Tony Pollard do half of what he did Sunday and Cam put up a few more points, I think we could, come up to, even out, with San Francisco. And that's just what I believe. And I love y'all. Y'all have a good day, okay?
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it.
You too. Bye-bye.
Is Trey starting to become a Cam Ward believer?
I think so.
A little bit of positivity from Trey about Cam Ward.
Feels good about the Titans heading into the Niners game.
Tell you what, man.
Got 12.5-point dogs are the Titans in this game. It's all right. It's just a number.
That's a big number. What do you say, FanDuel, all these characters?
Yeah.
these lowlifes in Vegas setting their betting lines.
Hey, Rabel got asked about that this week, about odds makers. Nice response from him.
What'd he say? You see so many more NFL press conferences than I do.
He was talked about, I think he was asked by Ben Valent. He was like, the people in Vegas. He's like, well, who in Vegas are you talking about, Ben? Well, odds makers. The odds makers. That's right. It's odds makers. It's not everybody in Vegas, just the odds makers.
So what was the question about?
They're underdogs against Buffalo.
Oh.
At home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just a 1.5.
Vrabel.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Lenny, my blackjack dealer?
The odds makers.
At the Venetian?
Yeah.
Lenny, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Vrabel always has some good game plan against Josh Allen in Buffalo.
He does.
Defensively.
It's worked out well for him.
For some reason, going back.
They've been in some shootouts.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely lost, but for some reason, he's fared well against Buffalo. Just
especially in Tuesday night games.
Of course, you say that now my mind goes back to that awful game I covered in Buffalo in 2018 where the Titans had won 3 in a row. And yeah.
Defense,
but it was only like 13-10.
Josh Allen could not. It was like 13-12.
Yeah.
Josh Allen could not throw a football at that point, and he beat the Titans. Like the best play he made all day was slowing up to draw a personal foul from like Jayon Brown on the sideline. Like seriously, I was like, this is the worst NFL quarterback I've ever seen, and you just lost to him. So there's a lot of lessons to be.
I mean, the last time Vrabel saw the Bills as Titans coach, they lost 41-7 on Monday Night Football.
That didn't go well.
But other than that,
that was a
lot of success against the Bills.
That was a Nick, not Nick. Who was the kid? Oh my gosh, the punt returner. Help me out.
I don't remember who the punt
returner was. The little kid from UCLA.
Kyle Phillips.
Kyle Phillips.
Kyle, not Nick. Yeah. Yes. Boy, this is a great display of memory and analysis.
Mike Ditka played for the Bears.
Show. Yeah. How many years did Mike Ditka play for the Bears?
Like 6.
Okay. All right. Well, I stand corrected, but I also stand young because I just didn't watch football. I don't even think I was alive then. Sorry. My first memories of Mike Ditka are like with his stupid Bears sweater and his dumb glasses over there screaming about everything.
He played for the Bears from 61 to 66. There you go.
Yeah. Well, good. The old timers remember.
You're a teenager then.
Yeah.
That does it for us today on the program.
I remember the day.
Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. Next
Stay
Man
off
Up
the plane.
with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.